Can I tell you one of the downsides of having 100,000 people in the same building is that it really inhibits my ability to watch Russian dash cam videos of cars getting in trouble. That's what I was trying to do. I spent almost all 14 years in Mythbusters trying to find a good myth that would allow me to repeatedly roll a car while I was in it. Because I always wanted to do that, and we never could find a reasonable excuse, try as I might. And this Russian dash cam footage just showed up of a car rolling at slow speeds, and I'm like, damn it! I really wanted to do that. So this is just an hour of Q&A. I want to answer your questions. I want to talk about what you guys want to talk about. This is my first time at New York Comic Con. I enjoyed the full experience this morning. I walked the floor in costume. It's a one-day build. We'll put up on Tested soon. My costume, I was your neighbor Totoro. Let's keep scrolling through.
Oh my goodness!
I wanted to hug me. Oh, and that umbrella was like a last-minute find on Amazon. I think it's called the Pixie. Oh, it was so much fun and so balls hot. I think I lost a couple pounds. But I also had no ability to see out. I have this pet peeve about mascot costumes. I can't stand when you can tell where the operator's looking out of. It's just a thing that bothers me. So I hid a GoPro knockoff on my head underneath the leaf hat that Totoro wears. And the best part about this is I could navigate with it, but we also recorded it. So we got all this footage of people hugging me. And when they hug me, their face buries in the fur that's at the bottom of the frame. I can't wait till that cut goes together. So hi! What's up? Let me come over here. This feels better. I'm gonna piss off the local. Yeah, I'm between two. Hi. Oh, look, you've already got microphones set up. Hello, Kitty. I'm sorry, Kiki, right? Sure.
Hi. During the filming of Mythbusters, did you ever look at a script and go, what the hell are you people thinking? And how long does it take eyebrows to grow back?
You know, all I was thinking was I was noting how quickly my ego threw my sense of humor down the stairs. Because I was all like, ha ha, am I missing an eyebrow? Jamie's like, yeah, you lost most of your hair. And I was like, no way! All my humor goes. In fact, I didn't burn an eyebrow, I just singed my hair and I was able to still go out on the date that night. Went great.
And was there ever a myth where you're like, what are you people on?
Oh, was there ever? Yeah, I can tell the story now. It wasn't spectacular stuff. Like, if it was really spectacular, we probably had already found it. But Discovery really did, they wanted us to, they often wanted us to do tie-in shows that would help their other shows. So we were always asked to do Alaska stuff and boat stuff. And we did an Alaska special. Now, it wasn't as meaty, let's say, as some of our other episodes. And they came to us at one point and they were like, we really want you to do a boat episode, and we know you say there's hard finding material, so we've polled our staff and we've got some great boat myths for you. And we were like, cool. What have you got? And they said, well, apparently it's bad luck to have women on a boat. And we're like, have you seen the show? You know that we never do stuff like that. Okay, we'll just chalk that one up to like misunderstanding. What's your second myth? Well, apparently it's bad luck to have bananas on the boat. And we were like, we can't, you're breaking up, I have to call you later, and we hung up. So that was the ridiculous things we would get from Discovery, suggestions like that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
I have the opposite question.
Hello, Hell Girl. You look awesome.
Thank you. Oh, I'm all giddy now.
What was your favorite irresponsible thing you got to do? You never got to roll a car, but what was like the most dangerous looking back on it? You went, ooh, I really shouldn't have done that.
So you should understand that when, like, the thought of standing like at the top of a water slide 200 feet long, going down a hill, and thinking, who's paying for this? That happened every week on the show. We call it the Mythbusters moment, and it's, what the hell are we doing? So irresponsible thing. There was the time that I was very happy about my new Segway, and so happy I put spinners on it just to make it more douchey. That was a challenge. How do you make a Segway more douchey? That's pretty tall order. Spinners, chrome spinners. And so then I was like telling my cameraman, like, you could use this for a camera shot. Actually, we're doing Packing a Car with Carrie. It's the men versus women episode, Battle of the Sexes. And I thought, well, we got this home base. Let me do a 360 of it, holding on to one of our cameras on the Segway. I got to about 340. I'm doing this 360 and I'm not paying attention, and I hit the corner of an easy up. And easy ups, you know, they're like horses. If they fall down, you have to shoot them. I'm not saying I want to shoot a horse, so I hit the easy up, I destroy it, it collapses, but so do I, and so does the $4,000 camera in my hands. Which, because I'm good at falling, I need to be when you're as clumsy as I am, and I fall, as you say, like a drunk. Like, my whole body goes slack, and so I had no compunction about letting go of this camera. Because also I know, and this is the weird position of being the host of a show, no one's going to yell at me. So I watch this camera with detached interest as it's separated into 4 large pieces. Wow, look at that. Okay, maybe I'll sit on this. I'm just not going to move. You all secretly want to watch me fall. Thank you for your question.
Well, one of the I would reference Mythbusters to these little boys every week. Now these little boys are all grown, of course, but I wanted to add, one of the moms says to me, she goes, what kind of an education does that man have to be able to do what he does? So that's my question.
Yeah, first I got beat up by the Cub Scout master's son. True story. Probably was partially my fault. I went to lovely, all the lovely schools up in Tarrytown, New York, John Paulding, Washington Irving, and then Sleepy Hollow High School. I came into New York in 1985 at 18 to attend the Tisch School of the Arts drama program at NYU. I pretended to go to class there for 6 months. I was an arrogant little shit. Sorry, if there are children in the audience, remember that it's cool when adults curse, it's just gross when kids do. I didn't know how to work hard, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't have any real ambition at that point, and I must have been I made terrible first impression back then. So I dropped out of school after a year. And that's the sum, actually I took a package design class at the School for Visual Arts. That's the sum total of my schooling. I will tell a funny story. In my late teens, 15, 16, I was a child actor. And I played Mr. Whipple's stock boy in a Sherman commercial. Yeah, go Mr. Whipple. I also played the second lead in a Billy Joel music video, the worst one, which is a very low bar. And I mentioned the Sherman commercial, and someone told me that they remembered seeing it as a kid, and I didn't think that it aired. I did not think that it had aired, and so I called my mom and I said, did that Sherman commercial air? She said, yeah, you did. You bet it did. It ran for 15 weeks all over the country. And I was like, right, so I got paid, right? She's like, yeah, you made $14,000. I was like, cool. So where's that money? She says, you spent it not going to NYU. That's why my mom's 82 and I'm not going to have to worry about her financially. She's got it all buttoned down. And she instantly released me from any guilt I had about sponging rent off them until my mid-20s. Thank you.
River or something in town. Tarrytown or the Westchester area.
Yeah. Firing bottle rockets out my window, wondering where they're landing. Oh, I hit a... Don't try this at home. But if you ever have a really long stretch of empty space, you want to hit a golf ball with a baseball bat. It feels like you're Superman. Remember when Christopher Reeves kicks that football into space? It's just like that golf ball, and it makes a satisfying crack and then just disappears into the stratosphere. And I had so much fun doing that. I still don't know where any of them landed. But then I thought I'd take a lacrosse ball. And a lacrosse ball will, it turns out, make a perfectly round hole in your parents' bathroom window. I got into a lot of trouble. My best friend in high school and I wanted to do some sort of anti-graffiti, so I made a sign, a 40-foot long banner that said, "The Phantom says vandalism is naughty." And then I hung it from the highest wall in the school. And the principal came up to me after about 4 days and he said, "Nice banner." And I said, "Why would you think that I put up the banner?" And he said, "Because I'm pretty sure you're one of the few kids that can spell vandalism." What other trouble did I get into? You know, Westchester County, it's the suburbs. You do terrible things that your parents will never ever know about. From cars driving in tandem down the road and things like that. It's amazing that we all survived. Thank you. Yes.
Hi, I was just wanted to know question. I know there's an upcoming Netflix show with some of the build team involved, and I was wondering if you might make a special appearance. Maybe you could try your car tumbling.
I am not going to make an appearance in the build team show. Now they're Cary Grant and Tori. They're not the build team. They're the Mythbusters. They were our colleagues, and I love those guys. I really hope the show, White Rabbit Project, does great. I hope it's awesome. I wish every success on them. And, you know, who knows? We may end up showing up in each other's projects in the future, but it hasn't yet happened.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, I'm kind of upset I didn't get to take a picture with you as Totoro since I was waiting in line for Stranger Things. But I know how you feel about the costumes because I used to entertain little kids and put on the costumes and you can't see anything, and I kicked 2-year-olds down on the ground. They were okay. They were fine. They were fine.
They're made of plastic at that age.
They were good. But since you love cosplaying so much, would you ever do a female cosplay where you're actually dressed as a girl, not like the Rule 63 thing?
Seriously, I have. That's been something that I have considered. I have watched with some dismay the difficulties that women encounter at the cons. I appreciate cosplay as not consent. I interviewed Jay Justice on our website today, and the ways in which she's trying to make sure that the cons are all inclusive, and she feels like it's improving, and so do I. I say that all as a precursor to say that the most recent time I thought of dressing in drag was to do it to actually help draw attention. But what am I, just another white guy talking about how to make things better? Yeah, I have actually considered drag. I have not come up with a specific costume, but it's not out of the realm of possibility, and I'm willing to shave. So it may happen. I have actually already tasked Frank Ippolito with making me a perfect replacement beard for that awkward period.
So we're gonna start a Twitter challenge. What's your next female cosplay?
I'll come up with something. That's a good one. All right, thank you. And I also am dying to meet the kids from Stranger Things. What a show! Yes. Oh my God, you look great.
Thank you. Hi, Adam. My name is Mike. I just want to say I have been a fan of Mythbusters since I was a little kid. I've been watching you guys since you came on the air. Recently, I became a certified New York State science teacher. Congratulations! And I really just wanted to say, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything you've done with Mythbusters. I really, really love the show. You, along with Jamie and the rest of the build team, and Cary Grant, Tori, everyone, even anyone really that's been on the show have influenced me so much. And really, I just want to say thank you.
That's a lot of pressure for me now. First off, I have to say thank you for everything that you do.
The compliments aren't necessary.
Okay, pretty much you and Neil deGrasse Tyson are why I'm like really super excited to come here. But so odd question, but may I take a selfie with you?
Yeah, come on up while we're answering the next question. Absolutely. I don't think I can move. Here, sit up here. Funk.
Good afternoon. So just want to say, big fan, huge fan. I once saw you in New York. You looked very busy, so I didn't stop you. But it was one of the highlights of my life at the time. Huge fan of Tested, huge fan of Still Entitled. Just started a podcast myself with my best friend, and I want to start getting into the content kind of creation mindset with like Twitch and YouTube. As someone who's, to me, kind of like one of my spirit animals, you inspire and you uplift your fans to do good things, do things that make them feel good. How would you say, do you actively try to do that, or is it something that just comes with your personality? And I'm also going to take a picture of you. That's the question.
It's a fantastic question. And especially germane at this point when our whole media industry empire is falling to pieces. It's fracturing, it's bifurcating, trifurcating, whatever the next one is. And at the same time, there's always going to be people who want to absorb and see and hear and enjoy stories. And there's always going to be people who want to tell those stories. So for me, I try and keep it to what are the stories that I want to tell? Who are the people that I want to showcase? Who are the people I want to talk to? Whenever I start down the road of thinking, how could I inspire, I get lecturing. So my TED Talk this year, which I know has gotten a lot of play at the cons because it's all about cosplay, that grew out of me spending 5 weeks writing a really elaborate talk that when I finally read it to my wife, we both agreed, hearing the words come out of my mouth, I was lecturing. And it's a talk I'm really deeply interested in giving, and it's about art and science and storytelling, but really there was nothing personal about it at that point, and so it was just like a university lecture. And my wife said, have you talked about, what about you is really personal that you haven't talked about on stage? Have you talked about cosplay? And I was like, actually, no. Okay, that's it. And I wrote that in a week. So to me, the best stories are the ones that resonate. And the best, if you have somebody who's a good talent, the only stories that are going to be worth listening to from them are the stories they're dying to tell. And that's really everything redounds to storytelling. It's what we are as humans, it's what we do, it's the reason we invented language.
So thank you. Thank you very much. And please be careful.
Hi Adam, my name is Mike. Just to start off with some extreme laudations, I've watched Mythbusters for years. I've actually just graduated from an engineering school where Carrie and Grant, recently went a couple of years ago. And you're just such an inspiration for creativity, for STEM, for all these things of just like releasing your inner self. And like when you were talking about Totoro, I know how you feel. I mean, I have a cosplay I've been working on for a couple of years, an Iron Man suit where it's like, all right, it's on, and I can't move.
And ow, the armor has just bitten a chunk out of my arm.
Okay, my arms can go down here. Good. But like, so whenever I see on Tested you show off all these cosplays and things like that, it seems like you churn them out like one every week. How long does it usually take you to get these going?
It's all over the place. It's definitely not one a week. Totoro was one, so the Totoro costume grew out of a Tested forum where a user saw my bear and said, maybe you should consider using the technology for Totoro. And I reached right back out to him and said, I hope you don't mind, I'm totally going to do that. Don't tell anyone. And then I'm traveling a lot. This post-Mythbusters life has me traveling a ton, and I've got a lot of different projects that I'm trying to get going. With Totoro, I sat and I thought about it for weeks. And that's usually where most of my substantive work gets done. In the end, we built the costume, I built the costume in about 14 hours over 2 days. But that's not to say that I hadn't already pre-gamed tons of it by really, really workshopping it in my head. I don't know what the next cosplay is going to be. And that's usually what happens after a con. In fact, often I come back from a con, I feel a little postpartum blues because I don't know what to do next. But that's just part of the process. There is no formula for how long it is between any build projects. And for anyone, I mean, I've got a set of Iron Man armor that's been sitting on the shelf for 3 years because it's so laborious to put that thing together. And the armor bites are really harmful.
Yeah. I can't actually use my hands or anything.
I know.
But I look good.
That actually turns out to be more claustrophobic than not being able to see when you can't actually reach for something. Thank you for your question.
Who inspired you? Do you have an inspiration?
I get inspired all the time. If you ask me, like, big heroes of the 20th century, I love Richard Feynman. I love how much he wanted to point his intelligence at everything and see what he could make of it, and a lot is the answer. But I also love, I've been watching tons of just the worst, most wonderful and terrible YouTube videos of people building stuff. And I mean worst, what I mean is, from a production standpoint, they're unwatchable. People are like screwing things by hand in real time, wasting minutes of my life. And yet, they're doing it, and it's so awesome to watch the stuff that they're building. I love watching little kids build costumes and take them to Maker Faire. That kind of stuff is what really gets me going. On Monday, I was lucky enough to be part of the White House's South by South Lawn event, which was the last big event of the Obama administration. Several thousand people on the White House lawn having a conference, and it really felt like your rich uncle was throwing a block party. It was incredible. It was an amazing day. I mean, we're at the freaking White House, and I have to tell you, the day before that was even better because I was at a place called the Digital Harbor Foundation in Baltimore building the South by South Lawn sign, the 4 letters, SXSL, with 50 kids from the makerspace. And just being able to work around kids and demystify me for them so that we're all just sanding burns off stuff and talking about painting and having a good time. It was like an 11-hour build. That might be the most inspired I've felt in a long time. And I'm going to do it again. We covered it on Tested. The videos will go up and we'll show you what we did. But I find kids getting interested in making things to be the single loveliest thing that I can imagine witnessing. Thanks. Yes.
Hello. I just want to start by saying that you and the Mythbusters are all awesome, and my sister's cousins and I are going to be cosplaying as you guys on Sunday.
Excellent.
So my question is, actually following up on a previous question, how many people does it take to help you get these costumes all together, or is it just you?
No, it's all over the place. The 2001 spacesuit I wore a couple of years ago at Comic-Con, that was a collaboration. That was a collaboration of several people that I commissioned. I commissioned one main guy, this wonderful guy Mike, to do the sewing and the front pack and the helmet. I built the backpack. I hired a friend of mine, a model maker, to build the main frame of the backpack and then make me a mold. I do lots of commissioning through Etsy. I love how much Etsy engenders a conversation between the maker and the seller. It's a really important thing to me, and I have some great relationships with people for years now who've been making stuff for me. I'm not a purist about, like, I've got to make it all myself. And I love sharing credit. I love talking about what other people have done and admiring their work as well. So it goes all over the place. Totoro was a one-day, one-person build, and so the bear was also a relatively confined build to just me. Some others have taken the work of my alien spacesuit costume was the work of my friend Steve Laboito and his wife Danita and several other people over the course of a decade to get that costume finished. So sometimes these things take forever to come to fruition, and sometimes they come up really fast. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Adam. My name's Paul. I wanted to ask, so we know that you and Alden Brown have done cosplay together. How often do you guys actually hang out, and you guys plan to do another cosplay together at some point?
It's entirely possible. We haven't talked about it. We reach out to each other when we know that we're in the same city. So if I'm down in Atlanta for any period of time, I'll reach out to him. If he's up in San Francisco, actually, sometimes I think the last time he was in San Francisco, I think he texted me and said, "Hey, I just left San Francisco. I'll talk to you next time." I love Alton, and I love. I mean, Good Eats is definitely like a real sister show alongside Top Gear and How It's Made. You want to hear the show I want to make? I want to take all the years of How It's Made and have Jamie and I, and maybe a guest every week, in silhouette, watching it and talking about it. We would MSD 3K How It's Made. We would rip it, yeah. You're on it? All right, thank you for your question. Yes?
I guess I remember back when Mythbusters was on the air, like the President Obama episode where he has you do the Archimedes death ray, like for the 14th time or whatever.
We were required to call it the solar ray because they didn't want us to say death.
All right. How exactly did that come about? Did Obama request it for whatever nefarious reasons, or did he? Did you guys present it to him, or how exactly did that whole meeting come about?
So we had, the Obama administration invited Jamie and I for the first time, I think around 2008, and we came to be in the audience while he gave us a policy speech about STEM. And it was the first time I got to meet Bill Nye and Dean Kamen and some other wonderful people. And then immediately after that, his administration reached out to our production and said, "We'd love to try and do a myth in the White House." And we were like, "Really? Because we bet it's pretty tough to shoot there." And then we started looking at movies or places in which there were myths about the White House, and the problem is it's only National Treasure. Which, fine movies, but there's not a lot of meat on the bone in terms of reality. And so we came back with some suggestions, but I think the Archimedes solar ray was at the top of our list because we would be able to do it in collaboration with a bunch of kids. We knew that would be a sweet spot for the episode, to make it collaborative, bring high school kids into it, and it's furthering the administration's goal of promoting STEM and equalizing science and learning opportunities for all kids. It was funny, after that episode aired, there was a lot of negative press for Obama, like, what's he doing wasting his time on a TV show? We were one of the early TV shows that he did. I will tell you, we showed up at like 8 in the morning. We set up in the White House library on the ground floor, and we filmed our reverses. We filmed Jamie's and my close-ups, and we filmed all the pieces that we needed to tell the story except for the president's lines. He showed up knowing his lines, nailed them on the first take, took pictures with every member of our crew, and was gone in 13 minutes flat. It was a model of efficiency which I am still gobsmacked by. And there was this wonderful point where he delivered this first, so 2 things. He opens, we'd given him a line about like, "Adam and Jamie, I like what you do, I'd like you to do this thing." He opened with like, "Adam and Jamie, I'm deeply respectful of all the incredible," and you get this incredible encomium, which made Jamie choked up. Yeah, so Jamie's like, "Oh, thank you, Mr. President." And then he did his first take, and my producer Alice was like, "That was great, I would love to get one more." He was like, "I thought that was good." And we were like, "That was good, let's move on." You don't argue with the president. Thank you. Yes?
I am just so pleased to meet you, and not to be redundant, but I really want to thank you for inspiring a generation of scientists and engineers, myself being one of them. Education outreach and STEM outreach is a real passion of mine. So I want to know what your plans are next with that, and I also wondering if I could take a photo with you.
Yes, yes. Come on over here and I'll tell you all about it, young red shirt. All right. Another red shirt. Well, who's going to survive for the kids? Wait, what was your question? Oh, outreach. So, yes, lots of good stuff is happening in the outreach. So I've been working with the Office of Science and Technology Protocol at the White House, OSTP, to help promote making, specifically making to kids. And more specific, we know makerspaces are opening up all over the country, and that's really great. The large portion of them are opening up in very specific neighborhoods, and the making opportunities are not necessarily being equalized for all kids. And that's one of the White House's missions, absolutely one of my missions. There are a lot of cities that are working to make this work. And on that, I am traveling to 8 cities over the next 12 months to see what they're doing that works, the kind of things that they're trying, the kind of ways in which they're bringing organizations into partnerships with each other to spread these opportunities and help kids get access. And then we're bringing the tested crew and we're telling stories about each of the cities that we're in. So we just got back from 2 days in Pittsburgh. We covered 8 makerspaces in 1 day and about 2 hours. And it was super inspiring. We're visiting schools that are showing... It's overwhelming watching kids reach out and make something from nothing. And I know this is preaching to the choir of this crowd, but the thing is, the reason that making to me is the gateway drug for everything. And when I say making, I mean everything. I mean singing, dancing, shoemaking, leather work, doorknob installation. If you are reaching out and doing something that didn't exist before, you are making your world a little bit of a better place. And just by doing that, when you make your world a little better place, you're in a better mood, you're a little happier, you're proud of your work, you're making your world better, and you are thus making the world better for the people who are around you. And so I think that when a kid reaches out and understands that power, they learn how to make the world a better place, and they will be proper stewards of it. Yeah.
I'm going to steal my question from Neil deGrasse Tyson. What's the moment where you decided, I'm really a nerd, and you were very proud and embarrassed about yourself?
Very proud and embarrassed?
Yep.
That happens a lot. Yeah, it's a story that I've told before. It involved, we were doing the dumpster diving episode on Mythbusters, and we were going to get trained how to jump off buildings by a stuntman with the greatest name ever, Randy Lamb. Think about that. Yeah. Anyway, Randy Lamb taught us how to jump off buildings, and I thought, you know, for the finale of this episode, I want a good costume, so I thought I'd dress up as Neo from The Matrix. And the morning of that final experiment, I got out of my car, dressed as Neo, and my whole crew was like, barely able to contain it. And I'll tell you, it feels just as embarrassing as a 45-year-old man to see that as it did to be, 14 when I wore some metal to high school for Halloween. And yet, I knew, number one, as a producer, I knew that the flowing long coat behind me on high speed would look freaking fantastic. And I was totally right. Second of all, I thought about 10-year-old me. I'm talking to him. I'm trying to think of myself as a permission machine. I want 10-year-old me to know it's going to be okay. Keep letting your freak flag fly. Keep doing the things that you can't not do, no matter how weird they are, and the world will maybe open itself up for you. And if you work really hard at it, it's a better chance. Look, every now and then I meet someone who doesn't know anything about who I am, and they ask what I do, and I start talking about cosplay, and this look comes across their eyes, and I'm like, yeah, no, I know, it's weird. But I can't not do it. Yes?
Hi. How you like science because it is storytelling, and I'm a video editor who likes science, and so I thought that idea was really compelling, and I was wondering if you could just...
Well, you have to slow down just a little bit. That's okay.
Science is storytelling. Could you expand? Just a little bit.
Science is storytelling?
Yeah. Could you expand on that?
Could I expand on that? Yes. I went through many iterations, it's just about where to begin, because this is a big subject in my head. I went through many iterations of figuring out what my job was on Mythbusters, ultimately alighting on realizing all I'm doing is storytelling. And then actually, it's all I've ever done. So when I'm gluing a little greebly onto the side of Newton Maroon's spaceship for episode 1, that greebly has a point in my head. And if it doesn't, it's not going to look right. And I've seen models where people just glue shit onto the side of something, and it looks terrible. So in order to have a logic, in order to look right, it has to have a logic. And that logic comes from the story of the person who's putting it together. And as soon as I realized that model making was a form of storytelling as much as myth busting was, I realized that storytelling is, in fact, it's putting together things in linear order, which isn't really the way the universe works. The universe is cruel and capricious, and it doesn't give a crap about us. We are insignificant, we don't matter, we are here for this brief, tiny period of time. But that is soul crushing to contemplate all the time. So we assemble stories that try and make sense out of it and try to give it some kind of intelligence. And that's a totally reasonable thing to do. The stories also have a utility. When we get together around the campfire and we say, look, if we put a sharpened stone on the end of this stick, we can kill a much bigger animal and eat for many more weeks. That's a linear set of facts placed in order. That's a story that's necessary for a survival of larger and larger and larger groups of humans. So I'm serious when I say I think we invented language in order to tell stories. And science is simply another form of storytelling. It is a form that involves excessive rigor. It's also a form that is willing to change the story based on new data at the moment's notice. Like any discipline, it suffers from its own inertia at times. But ultimately, science, the reason that I want to talk about that, and I like to promote it, is we say things like it's a science and an art, and in doing that we place them at opposite poles, and they're not. They're just two different ways of helping us understand the world and break it into reasonable chunks so we don't feel so insignificant.
Thank you.
This is a downer. Yes.
Hi, I'm Ryan. First of all, huge inspiration, like everyone here, I'm sure. My question is, I was able to see your stage show that you and Jamie did last year. What was your favorite part of just that entire show? Did you love touring from place to place? Was there a specific demonstration you loved doing again and again?
Oh no, it's being on stage with Jamie. I'm kidding. It is, the stage work is really, really important. And by the way, I'm working on is it time? Should I say it? I think I can say it. Yeah. Okay. I'm working on a new stage show right now with Michael Stevens from Vsauce. Yeah. It is awesome. We've brought in my friend, magic designer and genius director Michael Weber, and we are collaborating on a show called Brain Candy. It's what your mind is hungry for. And it's an extension of the stuff that Jamie and I did, but a much greater elaboration of it. And I'm really excited about it. I love telling stories on stage. It's substantively different. This, where I can hear you guys and I hear your reaction and I respond to it, it's a lovely thing to do enough so that it slows down and you stop freaking out and you actually start to hear the crowd. My friends who are stand-up comedians are so attuned to this. I barely could aspire to their level at doing it, but I love the stage work because I also think of it as a master class in a certain kind of storytelling. I love trying to figure out the way to construct a joke so I get both the gasp and the laugh. And there's been many times in which it's taken me months to get something right, to get the reaction I know I could get out of that piece. And when I did, it's super satisfying. So, like, to me, every method of storytelling is one I want to explore, and that's just another one.
So how soon can I buy a ticket for the show?
Literally within a couple of weeks, tickets will go on sale for Brain Candy. We're doing 42 cities in the spring, another 30 in the fall. Absolutely. If you keep track of tested.com, we'll put up all the websites where you can go buy those tickets, and I think we hit the road in February.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
All right, hi. So, number one, you're a big inspiration to me, as everyone else. Broken record, I know. Number two, for the end, can I get a photo with you? That's number two.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
My question is, we live in a society where failure just kind of gets pushed to the side and no one likes to talk about it, no one likes to think about it. So my question for you would be, what would be your proudest failure?
Okay. Proudest failure.
And wait, while you answer, can we take the picture?
Yeah, come on. I don't know if there's all failure sucks. But let's talk about it. But I'm really glad you brought up the word failure, because we use it all the time. We got to help kids learn to fail safer, fail better, fail, repeatedly. We don't really mean failure. And I keep on trying to construct the right joke for this, but I keep coming up with examples that are so horrifying no one laughs, because I'm like, failure is getting drunk and missing your kid's bar mitzvah. That's failure. That's hard to recover from. We don't mean that when we talk about helping kids fail. I got drunk and I missed my brother's bar mitzvah. What we mean, and this is actually really important, is something substantively and wholly different. And that is, we as people embark on projects. We want to do things. That's part of our job. It's part of our life. We have our job where we do the projects for our boss, and we have our home where we do our projects for ourselves. And it may be as simple as cooking dinner, or it may be as elaborate as building your own airplane. But it doesn't matter what you're doing. Whenever you set out to achieve anything, so you set a goal, it's over here. That's my goal. And you start moving towards it. Something is going to drive you off track. It's just going to happen. It's going to be Sunday and the stores are closed, or the weather is going to put Florida into the ocean, or something like that. And you wind towards your goal. And the thing that I can tell you, being a lifelong creator, is you never end up here. Ever. Where you end up is always somewhere substantively different. It's just as good, if not better, than what you thought you were going to achieve, but it's not what you thought the goal was. And that's the most important thing to teach kids, is that the path will wind, and you've got to follow the path. When we talk about how much we hate bureaucracy, what we hate is that bureaucracy says, that's the goal, you need to get there following these 19 steps. And that's exhausting, and that's not the way the world really works. The world really works is that you call the ombudsman or your friend, and you get around it, or you do something else, or you go to a different agency. But ultimately, whenever you set out to create anything, the path will wind. And to me, instead of failure, I don't have a single word that encapsulates it, but the phrase I've been using is to be awake to the path. Every artist understands this, and Francis Bacon talks about it in one of my favorite books called The Brutality of Fact. He says, every artist starts with a problem to solve. And it doesn't matter if they're an abstract artist or a concrete or whatever. They start with a problem to solve, and then where they end up with has nothing to do with their original problem. But it's just as real, it's just as valid, it's just totally different, and that's the point.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You helped define me to become the person I am today. Question.
Spider-Man.
Yes. Yeah, well, partially. Two-part question. What drives you? What keeps you motivated? What gets you out of the bed in the morning? And second of all, is there any possible way where I can hang out with you and see you in your man cave? Check it out.
That's very sweet. Right now, the answer to your second question is not right now.
Okay.
But it's not because I don't like you. I'm just very busy. What gets me out of bed in the morning? I mean, life is really good. It's really sweet. It's really sad. It's really terrifying. It's all of those things. I haven't listened to NPR in like half a decade because I can't hear about that stuff. I have to go get my news piece by piece because things upset me too much. I'm terrified of who our next president may be. But I've managed to carve out this really lovely existence, and I'm really grateful for it, and I consider it very important that I give back and reach out and use what I've learned to help inspire others. It's a really important mission, and that gets me out of bed in the morning. That and 2 dogs. Thank you. Yes?
Hi, my name is Joey, and this year I decided to make a costume I was inspired to make a costume because of you, and so I wore it yesterday, and it was awesome. A lot of people took pictures, but I'm not wearing it today. It broke, and and I couldn't put it back together. I was wondering, have you ever made a costume and has it ever broke on you?
Actually, we tweeted a picture of it this morning. Totoro's ears were removable so I could ship him. And I I brazed 2 brass rods to an aluminum bar in his head to slip the ears on. And one of those broke off 1 minute before I was supposed to hit the floor. And I did not bring enough tools, which is the thing I learned immediately after that. So I was like, Nora, get the hot glue gun running. Kristen, get me the fiberglass tape. But I sat there looking at this, and the picture Kristen took of me, I looked like the saddest monkey in the whole world in front of this sort of puddle of Totoro. Yeah, it happens all the time. Look, there's no such thing as ideal cosplay. Everyone here who's done it, who's doing it currently, will tell you there's a dog there. Wow. Okay, cool. I wish I could travel with my dog. It's hot, it's uncomfortable, the costume breaks, it's never as accurate as you want it to be, and that's also part of the process.
Also, I do have a picture of it if you want to see it.
Tweet it to me so that I can retweet it. What is it?
It's Ganondorf.
Gandalf?
Ganondorf.
Gandorf.
Ganondorf.
Ganondorf. It's what? Got it. Thank you. Yes.
So, 2 parts. One, shameless selfie. May I have one?
Yes, go ahead. Okay.
There's been times when I've been doing cosplay or making a prop and things just get really difficult, or you mess up so many times and you can't afford to do it again. What do you do to try to get over that or deal with any?
I put that thing. Go ahead, come on up and take a selfie. But I put that thing in a box and I let it sit. Sometimes for a day, sometimes for a week. Sometimes it's been for like a couple of years. Look, it's just like that thing of like you've just made 20 of the thing and then they're all wrong. You've got to make 20 of them again. Oh my God, it's so awful. So I kind of just like sit until I work up the courage to do it again. And again, sometimes that takes a couple of hours, sometimes a couple of days, and that becomes a battle between future me and past me. Like I'm like, future me will be really happy with past me to get this out of the way. That usually wins. Yes.
Hi, my name's Jeff. I'm super stoked right now. I can't even believe, I can't even begin to explain how super stoked I am to be speaking with you right now. Yeah, these are hard. But my question is, what do you think is the most useful skill to either have on hand or know or even possibly learn for an aspiring prop and special effects creator?
Start with paper. Paper construction. That's how I learned most of my mechanical understanding. I was making paper models from books. The thing is when you build a paper model from book, you're joining planar forms that make simple curves to each other. Sometimes you're joining them to make compound curves. You're making these compromised cuts. If you learn how to do it with paper, it's the same with carpentry, it's the same with welding, it's the same with sewing, it's the same with laser cutting and tab and slot construction. It's all analogous. You start with the cheapest thing you've got, which is paper and then corrugated cardboard, and everything else becomes relatively straightforward after that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I've been waiting to get to you. Are you a portal gun?
GLaDOS.
You're amazing. What's your question?
So we've talked about how much everyone loves you, but I can think of one coworker who might not agree. If Buster became sentient, how would he get his revenge?
I see the tagline now. Chucky has grown up. Oh, I think Buster has a good heart, and I think he'd be happy with how much information he had propagated by dying repeatedly. There is, in fact, an international Church of Buster, which celebrates how many times he's been resurrected for your knowledge. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Carmine. Someone used the word demystifying before, and as someone who did science fairs in high school, and thank you for your contribution in demystifying science and making it cool for my 6-year-old to want to do science fairs and everything that goes into it. My question is, started watching Mythbusters from day one, and it grew from this mom and pop show, very homemade, homegrown. It turned into you going into subspace in a U2. Can you tell us a story of when you just called up and said, hey, we're Mythbusters, we want to do this, and the doors just opened wide open?
Well, even with the U2 plane, it was 2 years of negotiation. The government is a reticent organization. They don't jump into anything. Really, within the notoriety happened almost immediately. And by that I mean Mythbusters started rating very well as soon as it started airing in early January 2003. And so by the end of our first full season in 2000, which we shot through all of 2003, by the end of that season, enough episodes had aired that when we started calling people, instead of going, why would I help you do that? That's stupid. Right, we want to know if Coca-Cola will kill sperm. I'll tell you about this phone call. I called the UC San Francisco fertility clinic because we've been trying to find out if Coca-Cola is a reasonable spermicide. And we've used as a control distilled water. And what we found is we wanted to water down the sperm with the same amount of distilled water as Coca-Cola because we thought that would be our control. But we found when we put distilled water, it seemed to kill the sperm. And is this something new that we've learned? That distilled water is deadly to sperm? I need to call up someone who knows. And so, UCSF Fertility Clinic, it's not quite how she didn't sound like a bookie from Queens. This is Janet. I said, Janet, I have a really weird question. She said, Adam, I've heard it all. What do you got? And I said, well, we're trying to find out if Coca-Cola can kill sperm. And when she stopped laughing, she came back and she said, why would anybody do that? And I said, well, it was a big myth in the 50s. And she said, oh, when it came in bottles. I didn't mean for that to be my last answer, but they're giving me the time's up. Well, it's a terrible finish. The best part about doing Mythbusters was going out and talking to scientists from LANL or JPL or NASA or Oak Ridge and finding that they treated us and talked to us like peers because what they saw in us was a simpatico spirit of curiosity and experimentation and empirical information gathering based on previous results. And I finished Mythbusters last November and I realized that I can and I do call myself a scientist because the show taught me how to think like a scientist. And it is one of the most, that and the fact that it turns out we made a science show that was inspiring the kids. We had no plans of doing that. We were never thinking of the children. But I think that's why it worked. Thank you guys so much for your amazing questions. I'm sorry I didn't get to you.